Hey guys, I had a question come up on one of my team calls the other day that repiqued my interest in how we reward our clients, our employees, our partners in business, um, and how a lot of companies actually like destroy morale unintentionally. They actually get the opposite effect of what they're looking for when it comes to rewarding their employees, their team members. Um, So a little bit of psychology in that, if what you do is a result of who you are, basically, right? Like if you perceive yourself as a certain type of person, your behavior is going to be reflected in that. But if I only reward you for what you do, then you begin to think that you should be rewarded for everything you do. And if you're not going to be rewarded for it, then you're not going to do that in the employment area, right? If I'm your employer and I just pay you for your productivity, for everything you do, or if for example, if a production line is a very easy example to kind of see, right? If people are in charge of production, producing a specific thing in a certain amount of time, well, then I come and say, hey guys, we need to up our production this week because we got to hit this deadline. And if we can do it, I'm going to pay you this much extra. And then you tune it up, you hit that goal. I pay you that much extra, and then next week you're back to the same job, but this time with the old incentive. Well, now morale has become decreased, right? Because I paid you for what you do, not for who you are, and what you're doing this week is is the same as last week in most ways, but the incentive is not the same. So now I'm less valuable this week than I was last week, right? There's a weird psychological thing that happens. Some of that's attached to the fact that financial incentives and rewards aren't as impactful in an individual's lives as we like to kind of imagine. Even for ourselves, we like to think, man, if I could just make an extra $5,000 a year, my whole life would change, right? Then you make that extra $5,000, your life changes a little bit, not enough to make you much happier, but enough to spend that $5,000, and you find yourself in the same situation. If I could only make $5,000 or $10,000 a year more, there's some phenomenal studies about it, right? Like they took, I wish I had the numbers off the top of my head, but there's studies that show like across huge pay ranges, people that make very low salaries to people that are in the hundreds of thousands, and basically everyone still thinks they need to make an extra 30 grand a year to hit the sweet spot. So what I'm getting at is that those financial incentives don't change a person's life in the way that our kind of mentality says they do. And so when it comes to rewarding your team members, your clients, whatever, you need to reward them for who they are. You still give the bonus. You just give them the bonus for who they are. A general, generic thank you because I appreciate who you are, the work you do, the relationship we have. I want to make sure that you're taken care of so that we can continue this what we have going for a long time in the future. All right. So if I reward you for who you are, it can be even attached to what they've done, but not specifics. Because who they are is someone that goes above and beyond. And so I want to reward them for who they are, not because they one time went above and beyond and now every time they go above and beyond they expect to be paid for it. They get paid as much as I can give them because I am loyal to them. I appreciate them, right? So there's some interesting psychology. I have to go back to one of my favorite books, Influencer, and talk about slightly a different angle of how they say rewards can mess up what you're trying to achieve. So he says Dr. Lepper revealed that rewarding people for engaging in an activity that is already satisfying may work against you. So if they already see it as a satisfying job, so your job as a leader is to create a culture that's satisfying to work at. Now, some jobs are more inherently meaningful to people than others, but you can make almost any job meaningful to the team based on the culture you provide to them and cultivate. And so, if you've done a good job of creating a culture where they find meaning and purpose and a connection, then you've taken care of that. You don't want to destroy it with a bad incentive, right? So don't make them. So I think the next part explains it more. They conclude that since they're being rewarded for the task, it must not be all that satisfying. Why else would someone offer a reward? And therefore, they're doing it for the bonus, right? So basically, if you give a reward to someone for a job that they actually already enjoy, all of a sudden their brain changes to like, this must not be enjoyable, or they wouldn't pay me extra money as if I'm doing some, grandiose thing that's painful. So you almost turn it into a painful experience for them. Organizational scholars have long found that many employees leave corporate award ceremonies not motivated and excited as intended, but with exactly the opposite reaction. They exit demotivated and upset because they themselves weren't honored. In fact, many see the whole ceremony as a sham. Interviews reveal that typically half of those who attend corporate awards programs believe that they were far better qualified than the person who was honored, but that they didn't get picked for political reasons. Creating a sort of an animosity separation between teams by having any kind of gray area about political, favoritism. One hospital, for example, found that anesthesiologists who were paid based on personal production were less willing to jump in and help one another when someone else's patient was reacting badly. So teams that are basically paid so that's like one difference between a salaried employee and an hourly employee or a production employee, right? Is if you're paid on a salary because of who you are and your skill set, you're more willing to help out and make sure other people are taken care of than if you're paid because of you do one specific task. If I pay you for that task, then it's no longer your job to help other people with things that are not your task. Or if that person's being paid for that task, even if it's the same as yours, well, you're not being paid for his task. So, the likelihood that you'll jump in and help out decreases. So it's very interesting that employers don't recognize some of these things, and they actually decrease morale in teams and productivity by trying to increase it with incentives that are incorrectly placed. So just something to think about as you're, if you're in a leadership position. How do you cultivate a culture that brings meaning to the team? And then how do you maintain that culture and still give rewards or benefits as possible, but unattached to that specific task or that will destroy morale? More a thank you to the team because you're an awesome team. Thank you to the individual because that individual is so great and I want to continue to be able to work with you and make sure that you're taken care of. That type of vibe instead of task-oriented, this for that type reward systems. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I'll catch you on the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching. As always, I love to hear your comments, so please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll get notified when new videos come up so you can stay engaged with the conversation and stay motivated. For additional resources and information, go to bronsonwilks.com.